Hello everyone, welcome back to second part of our manifest.json deep dive. In last part, we have discussed in detail sap.app section and sap.ui section. In this part, we will discuss sap.ui5 and Fiori element specific setting. If you have ever wondered how the controller, resources and model all work together and create our applications, then this video for you we will discuss in detail. Let's jump right into the system. Let's move on to the next block called sap.ui5. The first property of that, flags enable. This will enable key user to make the changes according to their requirement. They can rearrange the control which is available in application, and they can add additional field if required. So basically, if you want to make your application key user extensible, then you have to make this flags enable equal to true. Next one is the dependencies. To work your application, there is a minimum requirement of UI5 version, this 1.1381, that we are telling to this particular application. Apart from that, this particular app currently using, or this particular application currently using, these are the libraries: sap.am, sap.ui.core, sap.usail, sap.app. These are the main library is needed to run this particular application, and this is the minimum version is required. This is telling basically the dependencies to run this particular application. Let's move on to the next property called the content densities. Decide how your content should be rendered on your different devices. If you are using the mobile device or tablets, then cozy design will be useful because you are using the touch screen. It should the all the elements should be rendered, they should not be nearby. So user whenever the click, then it will be clicked on proper element. If you are using the desktop, laptop, which is the devices where you don't have the touch screen, then you should go for the compact devices so you can display the maximum content on the screen. If you define in the content densities compact and cozy both are true, so based on the device it will automatically adjust, because our app Fiori element are device agnostic, means you can display the same application the on the mobile devices also, tablet also, and the ui5, or you can say the computer or laptop as well. So it is not device dependent, so that is the reason we are giving both compact and cozy as a true. Let's move on to the next one, the models, where we define all the models we are using in this particular applications, where we are getting the data from. We have the I-89 model. So I told you we have the resource file, we call the sometime internationalization, we call sometime the translation file, whatever way you call, this is called the resource bundle, where your translations are located. When you can access directly those files in your xml views. If you're if you're creating the views in ui5 using the, you can write like the I-18 and greater than sign, and which name you want to use for your particular translation, that you can use directly. Or we have used in manifest.json file directly using the to get the title and the description from this I-18 file. So we directly use like this, like this also we can use. So these all things are coming from our model called I-18n, which is our main resource model, where we are displaying where we are having all the translations. Then we have one model which we didn't give any name, that will become the default model of our application. We can access this model without any symbol directly, and this will be our main data source. So main service, which we are having currently, which we currently in this application, which we have manifest not manifest, which we have used the northwind on data service, that will become the our main service. If you click on main service, it will indicate somewhere here where we have defined the main service. So this is the northwind or data service which we have defined. So same thing I'm giving, the data source of this model is the our main service. preload equal to true means whenever our application run, so you load the data beforehand only. You should not wait, whenever we need then only we load. This will be loaded as soon as you start the application, so our application run smoothly. Then again there are some setting related to this model. We can use some the binding mode. There is a two-way, one-way. So in the two-way binding mode means as soon as you update the UI, the model will be updated, the data in the model will be updated, and any update happen in model, it will be reflected automatically on the UI side. This is the two-way binding. We have default count mode is inline. That means sometime we will get the data. There is a huge data in backend. We are getting the products. We have 100 of products, but we can't display all the products. We are only displaying 15 product, but we want to know how many products are in the system. So that we will be displayed in the list report page. I will show you when we develop through annotations the number of count of the how many products are there or how many line items are displaying. Apart from that, there is a lot of other data in backend, how many total data we have, so that we want to get. That is the reason we are saying here default count mode is inline. That count also will be returned along with the data. So it will be written only 15 entries, but it will say there is 100 entries. Out of 100 we are returning 15 entries. So for that purpose we use the default count mode inline. Then we have the refresh after change. We set to false. That means whenever we are making the changes in the application, so we want to make sure that it will not refresh each and every time. So in that way this will be performance wise good, because we are making a lot of change. Sometime we want to refresh, that we will handle in different way, but this is by default, that is the false we are setting up. Next one is the metadata URI params. There we are, if you have additional parameter which you want to pass for this model, you can pass. In this case I am having the SAP value list. As of now none. It is very useful. Sometime when we create any application, F4 is not working due to this none, we have to come here and we have to adjust accordingly. That I have explained in one of the real-time scenario, where the rep, using the rep, we were converting the ALV report to the list report page. That time we faced this issue and we have fixed by fixing this particular value. So that you can watch out in the rep real time playlist. I will try to explain in this series also in upcoming video. So apart from that I18 file, we have the @i18 file. It will also provide the translation only, but in the some different scenarios. In the annotation, wherever we are defining the annotations, we can access. These are the different templates where we have defined the annotation in the in this file called the, where it went, annotation.xml file. Here if you want to access these translations, then we have to use i18n file. So this is special. Both are similar. It will access from the i18n, but to access there we have to define this data model separately. So this is all about the models which we are available currently in our application. If you have additional model, you can come here and you can add. Let's move on to the next section. First is the resources. In the resources, again, as you know, we have in upper section also resources. In SAP.app section also we have the resources. That is the application specific resources. If you want to add, you will add there. But if you want to add the UI5 related resources, like you want to add some custom CSS which you want to further enhance your views and all, then you will add those resources here. So these are the two different places you can add the resources file. Upper one, which you can add SAP dot, if you remember above, so which I just now sometime before we have seen here the resources, the file name was resources.json. Here the application specific resources we can add, and the configuration which it contain the configuration related to the application. But here if you want to add the means UI5 specific resources, like CSS, you want to add additional CSS or some other details you want to add, those all the things which is available on your server, those path you can add. And if you want to add here, and those path also you can give. These all the things mostly useful when you work on the UI5 side. means not Fiori side, Fiori element application, but UI5 side. But having knowledge will give some advantage. So next section is the same goes with the routing, and routing again most of the time it will be automatically defined based on the your annotations. You no need to worry, but still you should know what is routing, and when you work with UI5, this is the very important concept in the routing. So let's go to the PPT. Here I don't see any code is generated because we have very basic application. We didn't define any navigation or anything else, so that is the reason nothing is generated here. So we'll go to the PPT and see what is routing and how it is useful. Routing will define how you can move from one page to another page in your application. So there are three part of routing. One is the config, second is the routes, and third is the target. The configuration, it will define the global setting of your router, how it is overall behavior. Suppose when you are moving from one page to another page, how the transition will happen. And if you have custom router class, that also you can define. Whenever your application will load, what is the default view and what is the view type, those all things you will define in this config. Apart from that, you can define some advanced things, how your piece should be displayed. It should be in a split screen, or it will navigate to the next page or another page. So those all the settings we will define in the config. This is the part, we can say in short, the config section set up overall routing framework, so that you know no need to repeat this setting every single routes. So whatever the common things for the routes, those all things you will do here. So I have put a lot of theory. You can read it out, but because I was not having time to put everything in PPT, so this is all the things in detail. So again, the what is routes? Common settings we have defined in the config section, and the second section of routing is the routes, where we define the patterns. Patterns means whenever you move from one page to another page, there is URL fragment. It will be added to that particular URL, so it will define where we are going. Based on the patterns, we will go one page to the another page. We will give this route to the name, so you can access easily this particular routes in your application program as well. And we will define the target for this particular route. Whenever this pattern will match, whenever the URI call this particular pattern, then which target should hit. In the target, we will define what is the view should be called. Here I am just giving the target name, and further target detail I give in the next section. What is the my target name and what is the view should call whenever this target is calling target is called by the your route. So this is all the configuration basically we are defining, so we can move from one page to the another page easily. If you put all the together, the config set or all rules of the routing. The routes define the different navigation path, where to where you have to go, and target specify which view you should show whenever the pattern will match. So these all the things you can go in the theory section, but as the overall thing, how we can navigate from one page to another page, one application to another application, those all the things we will define in the routing. Okay, let's move on to the next block, sap.ui.generate app. This is specific to the Fiori element applications only. If you're creating the normal UI5 application, you will not see this particular section at all. Again, we have the version 1.3.0. Same similar way we are having the version for the manifest.json. For this particular block, we have this version. So it will define what all are the settings you can define in this particular section of the part. What all are the things you can define or not define. It will change time to time. SAP will add some of the things and remove some of the things in the different version. The current version which you are using for this particular block is 1.3.0. Next is the setting. This will there are different kind of settings for the Fiori element applications. Force global refresh means what we can say, if you are moving from the list report page to the object page or object page to the list report page, no need to refresh data again and again if you have data already, until unless there are some changes. So we are making it false. And second is the object page header type dynamic, means whenever you come page down from, or you can scroll down from one page, then the automatically your header will be dynamically, it will hide out to show more content. Consider analytical parameter, means if you have some from backend, you have given the selection filter or filter related analytical things or some other analytical things that should be considered in your applications. So draft toggle equal to false. If you in the backend you have enabled the draft but you don't want to use the draft facilities in your application, then you can toggle from here false and true. False in this application anyway, we don't have a draft. If you have backend the draft functionalities, if you want to disable from here, that you can do easily from here. Then we have the pages. The pages section, we have the list report and product. So here it will define this particular pages section, how your main page should be displayed and how it should go from the main page to the object page, and what all are the pages you have in your application. In this particular Fiori element application, those will be defined in this one. The first is the list report and products page. It is a list report kind, and we are using the products entity here. So our main entity which will be displayed on the main page, and what is the type of that? It will be displayed in the form of the list. List means it will be having the basic table data along with the filter. That is the reason we have used the list equal to true. Apart from that, for the list report, we are using the generic template. We are giving this UI component name. What is the component? This is already defined by the UI5. No need to worry which component we are using for the list that we are using here. Again, we can define further setting for the list. Suppose some of the settings which we can explain. The condensed table layout means it will be displayed more table entries in your particular output. So that is the reason we have given the condensed table layout. Smart variant management means in the your table or your application, the variant management will be enabled. If you want to disable, you can make it false, though you can't save the variants in your applications. So that we will talk about this variants and those other settings further when we develop the application. Apart from that, enable table filter page variant up. You just want to save the variant as a only the columns, then this is the sufficient. But you want to save the filter setting also in your variant, then you have to make this as a true. By default these are the true. If you want to make them false, you can make them false. We will toggle and we will work with this all the things when we develop one first our Scratch application. Then we will try to do these settings. We will try to change in the manifest.json file, and I will show you. Just I'm explaining as of now, but we will work with this once our application is ready. First application is ready entirely, then we have the filter setting, and this is the manifest.json file. Is a very important file. We can do lot of things here. We can define, we can change the front end UI, how it is look like. Suppose you want, currently we are displaying the responsive table, means it will display in the mobile, tablet. It will adjust accordingly. But sometime we are not using mobile application on tablet, we are using as only the laptop and desktop only, and there we need some aggregations also. The responsive table, the aggregations are a little bit difficult, so we will use instead of that analytical or grid table in that, and we want to display the entire content in one row. That also we will see. I have already explained this table setting concept in the my real-time project rap playlist. I'm again and again repeating that because a lot of things we have to do real time, so we have to come and adjust that concepts I have explained. But in this series we will go each and every section in detail. We have the filter setting and date setting. Instead of sometime we can select the single date and date range, but here we can select entire date range by dragging and drop. That is by default making, we are making as a true, so we can select the date range instead of single date. So this is all about the list report page. Then we have the another page called the object page, which is using the single product entity. And this is the, we are moving from the main list page to the object page. Currently the navigation is not defined properly and we don't have the annotation for the object page, so our object page is blank in this case. But when we give the annotation for the object page from backend, or we define the annotation in front end itself in the XML file, then we can display some of the fields of the object. Then I will go in further detail of this particular object page section as well. In the in the object page also we have further navigation to the supplier page, because we have defined the child entity as a supplier. There also we have given this particular entity set as a supplier, and we are using, again for both the things, we are using the object page component. For the first set we use the list report component, but here we are using the object page component. Then we have setting mid column full screen, that is basically it will start from the mid column, then it will grow to the full screen. These are the settings we can change if we required based on our requirement. So this is all about the sap.ui generic app section, and it is very useful to change lot of settings here, and we can change our application based on our requirement. We will discuss in these all the things in detail when we create our first application using the flow plan list report along with the object page. We came to the last section, that sap.fiori, which will define the overall config of your Fiori application. Suppose it is defining archetype means transactional, means what kind of your Fiori application is. It is the transactional or fact sheet or analytical application. That all things we can define here. And the registration IDs, if you have deploy your application and you configure your application on the Fiori Launchpad or any other bigger environment, that registration ID will display here. So as of now we didn't do this kind of things, so that is not displaying here. So this is all about the sap.fiori. So if I say overall sap.app, we have the application specific setting, and sap.ui we are defining the technology and icons and device type which it is supported, and sap.ui5 where we have the libraries, and apart from that what all are the data sources where we are getting the data from, and those all the details and routing information we are displaying in the sap.ui5 section. And if we are going for the sap.ui.generic.app, that is the specific to the Fiori element applications, where we can define the different pages, how we are navigating from the one page to another page, and what all are the hierarchies, and we can change the settings of the specific list report page or object page based on the our requirement. So this is all about manifest.json file. Okay, that brings us to the end of the part 2 manifest.json deep dive. I hope I was able to explain each and everything in detail. This manifest.json file, or we can say configuration file, is very helpful when you are working with the SAP Fiori Element application. You can do lot of things here. You can, from backend you are giving a lot of annotations and a lot of things you are doing, but on top of that, if you want to adjust your application based on your flow plan whatever you have given, for each flow plan we have the different setting, like we have seen the in the list report page we have different type of tables. You can do the navigation settings. Those all things we will do in the manifest.json file. We didn't modify the existing file, but when we work with the list report page, object page, or different floor plan, then we will see how we can modify this particular file and how it will be impacted on our application as well practically. This was the little bit, you can say, theory part, but before going to practical you should understand what all are the things these are doing, because each and everything will be not covered in practical, but most of the things which will be used frequently real time, those we will cover in the practical. So this is how we will end this manifest.json file. Before going to next video, please like this video, subscribe this channel. If you have any question, write it down in comment section. With that, thank you and happy learning.